One of the most significant ideas or cultural ideas that we have is the concept or the idea of beauty. Man has become very sophisticated in his appreciation of beauty, and certainly the Torah is interested in us appreciating beauty. There are Rishonim that say that one can come to the love of God by seeing what kind of beautiful world God has, what kind of beautiful trees, plants, and so on and so forth. The animals are a way of connecting with God's greatness and the beauty that God created in the world. On the other hand, beauty can be something that is very superficial. Here again, Rav Soloveitchik talks about the idea of beauty where man is sort of smitten with beauty. Generally speaking, that's talking about beauty of a human being, beauty of a male, of a female, what he calls barak chitzoni. He says like also a slight lightning striking us about certain beauty that is really deceptive and superficial. Rashi actually comments at the end of Parshas Bereshis that the first person that took two wives because he separated one for having children and he separated the other one for pleasure. And the one that had children, he didn't take very good care of. The one who he separated for pleasure, there he dressed her nicely, he fed her nicely. And Rashi comments and says this was the beginning of the Dor HaMabul. The seeds of the Dor HaMabul were in the fact that we separated pleasure from children, which really means that there was no context anymore for the relationship that we had with our wives. There was a wife for pure pleasure, and there was a wife for having children. What happened to the context of pleasure being in a loving relationship? That was not significant anymore. That was not a factor anymore for the Dor HaMabul. And from there led to the degenerate behavior of the Dor HaMabul. This is an extremely important idea because we have so many types of beauty today where we stress the beautiful people, the handsome people, and we build beauty pageants around it, which really, in a sense, becomes degenerate because we begin to objectify people, we begin to objectify women and men, especially women. And one of the cases that Rav Soloveitchik points out and says the message of the Torah is extremely important here is the Yefas Toar, the beautiful woman. The Yefas Toar is a woman who a soldier sees in the war, and the women got dressed up very beautifully, so they would be able to entice the soldiers. So they wore beautiful garments, very fashionable garments. They let their hair down. They dressed up very beautifully. They did beautiful hairstyles. And the Torah says that one who was smitten with their beauty, was struck by their beauty, right, has a right to take this woman. But when he brings her into his home, right, there's a few conditions. One of the conditions is, or a number of the conditions are, to make her less beautiful. For instance, you have to take off that beautiful garment, that attractive garment that she wore that caught your eye. You have to cut her hair, that beautiful hair that somehow was appealing to you. And then you have to look beyond the beauty, Rav Soloveitchik says, and this is really a parable for all of culture. Is culture may look beautiful from the outside, but really from the inside, we have to take a look and see, is it just an excuse? Is it a way to cause the generation to be degenerate and look only at the superficiality of our lives and not really get involved in, sheker achem vehevel hayofi isha yiras Hashem hitatel. In other words, beauty is important, but compared to Yiras Shamayim, it is very much secondary, and that's really the message we have to have here. That when we look at cultural beauty, we have to see again, what is really the agenda? Is the agenda to show the beautiful people so we can make a bracha on seeing beautiful people? Or is this just an excuse to eventually objectify human beings, which of course is the antithesis of a Torah value. I would maybe want to end with a story. The story is with Rav Ruderman, at least they say it's with Rav Ruderman, where there was a fellow who was a yeshiva boy who was dating, and Rav Ruderman happened to have a family that he knew the girl, he knew the family and knew the girl, and he thought it would be a very appropriate shidduch for this student. So he set her up, and the student was not attracted to her. So he didn't know what to tell Rav Ruderman, because he figured he can't tell Rav Ruderman she wasn't attractive. He'll think that he's very superficial. So he sort of put off telling him. He didn't, he put off telling him, let me think about it. And then finally Rav Ruderman said, she needs an answer. You can't keep her waiting. So Rav Ruderman finally approached the boy, and he said to him, what is your decision? So he said, Rebbe, I have to tell you the truth. She's not that beautiful. And Rav Ruderman said, is she an esrig? And an esrig, you need Hiddur mitzvah. On Chanukah, you need Mahadrim and a Mahadrin mitzvah. But a girl, you need a Yerushalayim and a girl. The important thing is the Hiddur of the girl. That's in a mitzvah, we look for Hiddur mitzvah. But in a woman, we look for Yerushalayim, we look for Kiyum HaMitzvahs. And this is really the message Rav Ruderman wanted to tell him, is that we've been very influenced by our society. And it's time that we actually took a look at this and made a change.